to this computer. Okay, now it should be recorded. Okay, now it says. Okay, welcome to Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe Gets Real. I just forgot my show for a second. It happens. My guest today is Brandy Birch, a good friend of mine, and she has a story to tell. She's a very wise woman with a lot of compassion and a really remarkable resilience story. So, Brandy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, my name's Brandy. Um, I live in St. Michael, Minnesota. Um, I've lived in Minnesota for most of my life. I was in Alaska for a short time and Nevada for like a year. But other than that, mostly Minnesota.
And do you want to tell us about what was the hardest thing for you growing up? Oh, one of the hardest things.
Um, well, to start with, um, from very young age, my life was pretty difficult. So when I was a baby, I was thrown headfirst into a basement wall, and that caused me to have a fractured head, and I had a traumatic brain injury, which made my childhood really hard because I had to be very careful with
Mm-hmm.
concussions and stuff like that. And then
And how old were you? Do you know?
um, I was between 4 and 6 months when it happened.
So your fontanelle wasn't even, your brain hadn't even fully closed itself. Your fontanelle was still open. So
Correct.
at the time, and your brain hadn't fully developed. So that's a critical age at which to have that kind of TBI.
Yeah, I was in the hospital for 2 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so a lot of people, like, I wasn't really expected to like live a normal life.
Right. And who was there to take care of you at that time?
Um, so the person that did it was an ex-boyfriend of my mom's. Um, he he was never convicted or anything because my sister who was there, she was 7 at the time. She was too scared to tell anybody who did it. Um,
And your mom was protecting him, or
well, my mom wasn't there at the time.
okay, so your sister saw it.
Yep. I was in her arms at the time and I was crying, and I guess he didn't like me crying, so he took me
Mm.
and threw me to shut me up, I guess. And so then I was in the hospital for 2 months, and then they put me into foster care for about 4 months while they like investigated even more during that time to like make sure that my mom wasn't the one that did it.
Yeah, oh sure. Mhm.
But then when I was about, I think I was told about 10 or 11 months, I went back with my mom.
Okay. And your mom struggled too. Obviously, she was abused, and that wasn't the first time. I'm sure she grew
Yeah.
up in abuse, and she struggled with her own mental health issues.
Yes, my mom had bipolar, and she was also she had schizophrenic tendencies when she was manic. So
Mhm.
like in her manic phases, that's when she would have the schizophrenic
Yeah. There's
uh,
psychotic episodes.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And that must have been terrifying for you to see.
Yeah, I was pretty young um when like things like when she went in those episodes.
Okay.
Um and there's a lot of my like younger childhood that is like completely blacked out that I have no
Mhm.
memory of.
Which is your
And
brain and your psyche's protecting you.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly. like I think that it's kind of like a mix of the brain injury of my memory and
Mm-hmm.
also
Yeah.
trauma.
Yep. And forgive me, I have a neck injury, so I'm going to be like cracking and stretching my neck. It's so that's just what I'm going to do to take care of my body. Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that's a really cool thing about our psyche is that we are never given more than we can handle. But definitely your brain injury impacts your memory as well.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I mean, you got through school. You were able to get through school. And not only that, but you also ended up, well, tell us about your siblings.
So I have um two full blood siblings. So my sister, she's 6.5 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have well, I had an older brother that I never met because he would have been about 5.5 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, his name was Joey, and he died when he was a couple weeks old,
Mm-hmm.
um, due to my mom's drug use during pregnancy.
Okay. Was he a premature baby then, or what happened?
I don't think he was premature. What I was told when my mom was alive was that when she found out she was pregnant, my sister was still very young, and um, my mom was 21 when she had my sister, and so
Mm-hmm.
she was in that party mode,
Yeah.
and she was like, I don't want to have this baby, and so she tried to induce a miscarriage by
Okay.
doing a bunch of drugs and drinking and stuff. And after a few months of that, then she decided that she did want the pregnancy, but by that time, the damage has already been set.
Okay.
And so when he was born, he had two club feet, a broken
Mm.
arm, and a bunch of other health complications, and he only lived to be about 2 weeks.
Mm, how sad. I wonder how
Yeah.
that was for your mom in terms of guilt and,
Oh,
too.
he felt very guilty.
Hmm. I bet.
And
And then you were the next one?
yes, I was the very
Oh,
next one. Um, so about 5 years
a lot
after.
of probably expectation on you then. Did you feel
Yeah,
that?
not really. There was it was not at first, I guess I would say.
Hmm.
Eventually, yes. Because when I was like younger, when my parents were together, um, I I think on a combination of me being the first one born after them losing a child, and
Yep.
then also the fact of almost losing me, I was kind of put on a pedestal. So like, especially with my dad. So like, it's
Hmm.
interesting because like when my sister and I talk about our memories of our dad, my memories are so different than hers.
Mm.
And it's really interesting because she'll be like, oh yeah, our dad was so mean and blah blah blah. And I'm like,
Hmm.
to me, like, and I understand, like, my dad died when I was 6. So, you know,
Yeah.
the highest memory I have is a 6-year old. So like of course,
Right.
you know, there's a whole bunch of other things to it. But
Because she would have
also
been then how old?
she was 13.
Okay, so she was getting in her, you know, nasty teenage years where she was
Yeah.
probably being a brat, right? And you were
Yep.
still the sweet little girl. But yeah, you may have been treated differently too.
Yeah, definitely. There's one memory that I
Highly
have,
recommend
like,
this.
that's cool. There's one memory that I have that just like something so little, like one time I was somewhere with my parents, and I was sitting on a couch, and like for some reason, somebody there, an adult, took my blanket, and I was very,
An
very young.
adult. Yeah.
Right. And I was I wanted it back, and they wouldn't give it to me, and my dad came, and I was like, he won't give me my blanket, and my dad ended up actually getting into a fight with him over it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah,
So he
like
stood up for you.
yes, absolutely.
Nice.
Like I was definitely daddy's little girl.
Yeah. That's a nice memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so hard to
And
lose them so young.
it really is. I struggled with it a lot, and I I said some mean things to my mom afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I wish it was you instead. And even though,
Sure.
of course, I didn't mean it, but, you know, as a child dealing with grief, you really don't know how to deal with it, especially
That's right.
when there's a bunch of mental illness and abuse around you.
That's right. Because you've got so much anger stuffed inside. And as a child, your little body, anger feels so intense in a little body. It feels like it could actually kill you or kill someone because it's just raw energy. So, you suppress it. And it comes out just in all kinds of ways. Usually, if you suppress it and hold it in your body, then as an adult, it comes out in sideways, whether you continue drinking or using or have an eating disorder, something to suppress it. And then eventually in recovery, you end up, talking about hopefully these things, but it also needs to be discharged through whether yoga or whatever, and often like somatic practices. And so for you at 6, you're being able to be verbal about it, but you can't like cognitively process it. So you're like, mommy, I hate you, because maybe it's her fault because you don't want to blame yourself, but you did yet at that age, you're still cognitively, everything around you, it happens because of you. So you probably blamed yourself too in some way.
Yes, absolutely. And
Mm-hmm.
then my sister also, she's 13, and of
Yeah.
course, um, the the circumstances, like, so my dad, he had cancer that was like the main reason for his death. But
Okay.
before he died, he had called, and he's like, hey, do you want to come with me? Because by that time my parents were separated, and my mom
Mm-hmm.
and her boyfriend were living here in Minnesota, and my dad lived in California.
Okay.
He called, and he's like, hey, do you want to come with me, and visit for however long? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. And then I was like, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute. Um, and because I have a younger brother, Shane, who shares my both of my parents. He's 2.5 years younger than me. And me, I think I was around 5, almost 6, or very close. And I was like, yeah. And then I stopped because I was looking at my brother, and I was like, you know what, Dad? Actually, I think Shane should go because he doesn't get to see you very often.
So you
And
gave up your
so
trip?
I did.
Wow.
Um, so I had him take my little brother instead. And on that trip, um, he ended up getting into a car crash, which had one of his ribs puncture his lung, and he had lung cancer. So
Oh
it
boy.
spread, and so like that was I felt really guilty for that, even though, like,
Oh
of course
well.
it's not
Of
my
course it
fault.
wasn't. Yeah.
But you know it didn't help that I had that guilt, and then on top of it, my sister was telling me, oh yeah, it's all your fault,
Oh
and
boy.
stuff like that too.
Because she was of an age where she wants to blame someone because she doesn't understand either.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. So it was really hard. Um, but and it's kind of funny because while they were gone, I burned down my bathroom.
I mean, now it is
It was
funny.
an
How
accident.
did you do that?
Okay, so I watched too many movies as a kid. Too many movies.
Yeah.
My mom's boyfriend at the time, he was
Mhm.
watching me. He was sleeping on the couch. And on the coffee table, there were only
Mhm.
three things. There was a pack of cigarettes, a
A
receipt,
lighter.
and a lighter. Yes.
Okay. So of course you need something to play with.
So I was like, okay, I'll light the receipt on fire.
Yes,
And
of
I was like,
course.
okay,
You don't want to
cool.
smoke a cigarette.
Right. So I lit the thing on fire and then I was like, and then it was getting close to my fingers. I was like, crap.
Sarah, like, what?
Right. So then I went into the bathroom and I was gonna throw it into the toilet. But then I had watched Home Alone. And so I thought if I threw it into the toilet, it was going to explode. So
Right.
then I was like, okay, nope, can't do that. So then,
Yeah.
then I was like, I'll just throw it in the sink and turn on the water. And then I was like, wait a minute, if it's going to explode in the toilet, it's going to explode in
Just
the.
plug in the sink. Yeah.
So then I was like, it's getting down to my fingers and it's starting to hurt. I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I just threw it in the bathroom garbage.
It's probably thing to do.
Yep. And
And
then
it just
I,
went up in smoke.
yeah, well, at first, like it took a while, like a few minutes, like, well, probably seconds, but
Mm-hmm.
it it was slower than I thought expected, but I didn't want to wake up. Benny was my mom's boyfriend at the time. I didn't want to wake him up because
Oh,
I didn't want to get in trouble. So
yeah.
I'm waiting for it to smoke, and I'm like pulling the smoke to the smoke detector so that it
Yeah.
would go off.
Oh,
And then finally it
oh.
does. So then I go running because I knew he was gonna wake up right then and
You're
there.
like, wasn't me.
I
Wasn't
don't
me.
remember what happened after that, but I'm pretty sure I got in a lot of trouble.
Probably. I'm glad you don't remember. That's probably a good thing. I love that
Yeah.
you laugh at it now. Did it like
Yeah.
literally burn the whole bathroom? Probably.
No, not really. It burnt.
It's
So, the bathroom was set up where there was a sink, and then right next to the sink, there was a little space where the garbage was, and then the toilet.
okay.
And
So probably just burn that part of it.
yep, it was just a little bit, just enough, because basically it just had enough smoke. Like there was fire
Mm-hmm.
and like there was burn marks and stuff, but it wasn't like major because by the time the smoke hit the detector, because the detector was right outside the bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
it was
Good.
pretty good. But yeah, it was
So
just crazy.
that is crazy. So let's fast forward into so you get through school and how did you end up being successful as an adult? I mean, you deal with your own, you have a child. How did
Yeah.
you know how to parent when you really didn't get parented?
Well, so when I was um in third grade, um, my brother Shane, the younger one, that's 2.5 years younger than me, and
Mm-hmm.
we went into foster care because my mom had one of her episodes, and we were in foster care for about a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Okay.
Um, and those parents, um, those foster parents were pretty good. They were very strict, but they were pretty good. And like obviously, as a child, I did not like it, but
Of course you didn't.
as I grew up, I was like, I'm really thankful for that. I needed that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then again, when I was in ninth grade, um, early on, like December, we
Hmm.
we were all put in foster care again, and then I was in foster care until I was 18. So,
It's a lot of
and
foster at the same place, or did you hop around?
I went to the same place because when my brother and I went when I was in third grade, he was in first grade. Um,
Hmm.
they did they they did kids, and we could be together. But
Nice.
when I was in ninth grade, they did teen girls.
Oh,
So
okay. Makes sense.
yeah. So originally I was with them, and then they did find a home for all of us. So it was me, my younger brother Shane, and then we have a younger brother, Trent, and that is Benny's son. Um,
Hmm.
and so they found a home for all three of us, but the home we lived in Buffalo before we got put into foster care, and my foster home was in Monticello. And they found us a home to take all of us in Buffalo. And most of my first 3 months of ninth grade, I barely went to school.
Hmm.
And because I was helping my mom out a lot and doing a
Yeah,
lot of other stuff, and just,
trying to survive.
yeah, exactly. So, I really, I, I thought about it, and I was like, I would love to be with my brothers, but also, like, throughout childhood, and especially while we were in Buffalo for the about year that we had been there, I had basically kind of become like a pseudo mother.
Yes, you have.
And I wanted to do, to get good grades so that I could get into college and do stuff like make my dreams come true and stuff. And I knew that if I went back, for one, I would, even though it was there was a foster parent, like I knew that because I was so used to like parenting, I was
Mhm.
going to get into that. I was going to stay in that role. And also, I knew that it was going to be harder to bring up my grades than to start over at a separate school.
So you were already finally, putting yourself first, and you had the awareness to think, okay, so I need to, make a change here and make a really tough decision that I
Yeah.
separate from my brothers. I'm sure that was really hard.
It was really hard because there was a lot of internal guilt and
Yep,
also external guilt.
right.
And I I just kept telling people like I have to do this for me. Like,
Good for you.
and we got to visit, we had visits and stuff, and it was
Okay.
okay, but I obviously I wish we could have been together, but I knew that that wasn't a
Yeah.
realistic situation that was going to happen, and there
Well, and
wasn't,
yeah,
yeah, I wasn't
I
going
was
to
just
be
gonna
able
say
to.
what's so amazing to me is like you had no one lifting you up and telling you, hey, put yourself first, like think about what you want. So you just kind of have this resilience and this sense of self by yourself, on your own. So I think that's really remarkable. Hmm.
Yeah, like I did talk to my foster parents and my
Hmm.
guardian ad litem and my mom and my siblings also, like, and I kind of like already made up my mind when I was
Hmm.
talking to them, and I was just like,
Good.
I really need to do this. Like, I love my family,
Hmm.
but in order to be me and to
Hmm.
try and be successful, I have to do this.
Yeah, you had already made so many sacrifices. Hmm.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
I don't know, I've kind of always been like an old soul kind of.
Yes, yeah, yeah. That's how you survive things like this. So what happened then after that?
Well, then I graduated
Hmm.
and I did go to college for a little bit. But then I didn't have a very high bank balance. So
Yeah.
it got really hard. And
Hmm.
so, in order to balance job and school, obviously, job was winning out so that I could
Yeah.
live. So then
Right.
I had to drop out.
Hmm.
Um, and then, not too long after that, my mom died. And that was a struggle.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's interesting because even though I had just turned 20 like barely a month before that. Um I
So young.
it, yeah, it's like plus like it's you're an orphan even though you're technically like adult and everything. But like the thing is like it it didn't feel like I was just losing my mom because I had already lost my dad. It was it was like I was losing both of my parents because it was
All over again.
my only other parent.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it brought a lot of the feelings back from my father and
Hmm.
I I was in a really dark place for pretty pretty long time.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. And yeah, I can see how you would kind of re-grieve your dad when you lose your mom. Hmm. How
Yeah, I
did you get through
definitely
those
did.
years? Yeah.
Um well, I did a lot of writing.
Hmm.
I used to write poetry. Um
Hmm.
I
Which means you're
haven't done
still a poet. You
it.
still
But
got that. You still got that. Hmm.
I haven't done it in a very very long time. Um Probably since around that time actually.
Really?
Um,
Oh, we got to
yep.
get you going on that.
Yeah. I've like tried a few things since then, but there's just been so much going on and it's
Yeah.
just not the same. I don't know. It's weird.
There will be a time.
Maybe, yeah.
Hmm.
But and then I I had many suicidal attempts. Um
Yeah.
I I did a lot of stupid things,
Of
but
course. Yeah.
eventually um I finally had a moment of clarity where I was just like, it was my last attempt, and I was like, I couldn't feel anything, and I realized that I could succeed at attempting suicide and not even feel it, and that that thought that I could just be successful and I wouldn't even feel it, it scared me because
Okay.
like I was just like, how can I end a end a life and not even have any feeling to it,
About, yeah.
like no physical pain, nothing. Like that was very scary to
Like,
me.
am I already dead? Kind of, right?
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
And so I checked myself into the hospital
Good
for
for you.
that wasn't the last time I put myself in the hospital, but it was the last suicidal attempt I ever did.
Good
Um
for you. How old were you? Do you
and
remember?
um I was 24 or 20, 25. What? 25.
Good for you.
It was either right before I turned 24 or right after.
Cool.
But yeah, so that was the last time. And I checked myself in the hospital, and I promised myself that I'd never do it again because it wasn't right, and that I needed to learn how to feel in life
Yes.
and not,
Yes.
just survive and just go through it numb.
Yeah. Because that's what it is too. It's just tolerating feeling, you know,
Yeah.
and that's not easy, but you
No,
did
it's
it. And what
definitely
courage it is to check yourself in, right? That's not a fun thing, but that's what it
no.
is. It's admitting that you need help.
Yep.
Amazing.
And it was it was embarrassing, and
Mm-hmm.
but I knew that that's what I needed to do, and so I did it, and I struggled through, and I mean, I still have dark days just like anybody
Yeah.
else,
Yep.
but I know that I can get through them because I feel like I've probably gone through some of the darkest days I'll ever have.
Yeah.
And I tell myself that if I can get through those days, then everything else is just peachy.
Yeah. It's kind of like you've survived the worst,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Mm-hmm. What brings you joy?
Um, I like music,
Mm-hmm.
and I like spending time with my son and animals and just drawing and artsy stuff, and just, I don't know, I try to look for like the light in life.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I feel really pessimistic, but most of the time I try to be optimistic and just like find at least something each day that, I'm just like, hey, this is okay.
Yeah. Tell us, because I love this, your son's name and why you named
My son's name is Sir. And my ex and I, he had told me a story of, so in the way, like many, many years ago, when racism was very, very, very prominent, um, there was a story about a pregnant Black lady, and she was going to have a son, and she wanted to make sure that her son was spoken to with respect no matter what. And so she wanted to give him a name that forced people to speak to him with respect. So she named him Sir. And we thought that was such a great story. And so we decided that when we found out we were having a boy, we would name my son Sir. And then his middle names, he has two, is Joseph and Paul. So Joseph was my brother's name, the one that died when he was 2 weeks old. And then Paul is the second middle name of one of my ex Harley's best friends who died in the hospital um, right before or right after I found out I was pregnant.
him? So meaningful. I love that story. Love that. Such a beautiful story and such a beautiful name. Yeah,
Thank you.
sir. He's
Yep.
certainly an honorable young boy. How old is he now?
He just turned 9.
Oh my gosh, he's getting old.
I know. I'm like, boy, you are aging me.
Yes, but he's doing well.
Yes, he is very happy boy.
Good, good. That's good.
Yeah, it was funny.
And how? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it was funny because in kindergarten, he came home one day And he said, Mom, it was so great. This kid came up and he knew my name. And I was like, oh, yeah? And he was like, yeah. He came up to me and he said, excuse me, sir. And I just thought that was so cute.
That's so sweet. I love that.
Yeah,
He's a great kid, and
he
you're a great
is.
mom.
He really is. Thank you.
And how are your brothers doing?
So my brother Shane, he's doing pretty good. He has two kids. They live up in Hibbing. They used to live in
Okay.
Chisholm.
Mhm.
Um, and he lives with his long-term girlfriend and their two kids. And yeah, they're doing okay. Um, you know, like us, everybody
Mhm.
has
Yeah, up
struggles,
and
but
down. That's
yeah,
for sure.
but yeah, so and then my other brother Trent, um, he has a daughter, and
Mhm.
um, he's a recovered addict, and he's actually been working at Teen Challenge for
Oh, Teen Challenge.
yeah for a few years.
Oh, wonderful. That's a good way to stay sober.
Yep, Teen Challenge helped him get sober, and then he started
Yes. A lot of people end up working there that have gone through the program. Mhm.
yep,
How
and
about your
it's
sister? Oh, go ahead.
um, and then my sister, she's doing a little better. She's probably struggling the most out of all
Hmm.
of us. Um, but she's got her so she's got my niece that is um 16. No, wait, she just turned 17.
Wow,
Um,
they're grown up too.
I know it's crazy. And then also my nephew who is 13, they live there. And then
Okay.
my niece's boyfriend is living there right now too.
Okay.
But
Big house.
yeah, but they're doing okay. Especially um considering all the dark times that we've gone through, especially
Yes.
my nephew Devin passed away last March.
Yes. Yes. That was a really hard time. You
And
guys
that
have
helped.
survived a lot. Hmm.
Yeah,
And I know you've been kind of the pinnacle of the family, so that's, you've always been the strong one.
thank you. I
Yeah.
try.
Oh, you do.
Sometimes I don't feel strong, but
But you always manage to stay centered.
yeah.
Yeah. Any advice or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience?
I would just say that even on our darkest days, there's at least something that we can find that brings a little light, even
Hmm.
when we feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's, you know, like they say, you can't see the stars without the darkness.
That's true. Oh yeah, I like that. And sometimes with our pollution, you can't see the stars. You have to look extra hard, but they're still there. We know they're there. Thank you so much, Brandy. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Bye.
We can stay on for a second. Thank you. That was great. That was really helpful. Yeah. You do have such an amazing story. It's so nice to hear from you. How are you doing lately?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just um so since I went off my um Prozac, I've gained weight. Haven't been liking
Oh,
that.
okay. Hmm.
Um
But you could stand to gain some weight.
Not so much these days.
Yeah. So you,
But
why did you go off your Prozac? Just
so well, for one, it I wasn't feeling any better on it. It
okay. Hmm.
like honestly, like it was like I was on a very high dose too. I was on 80 milligrams.
Oh,
So
okay. So that's, yeah.
yeah, and like I I couldn't feel really. Like I was so
Okay. Numb, kind
blunted
of.
and numb. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
not fun.
yeah, I was like, this isn't right. So I was just
Yeah.
like, I need to get off of this. And then especially after I saw Dr. Joseph's uh video about antidepressants and whatnot. And it kind of was like I was already thinking about it, but like watching
Hmm.
that video, like how he explained like a lot of antidepressants, like they they do that long term is, numb you. And so
Yep.
that kind of was like, the
Hmm.
little straw that broke the camel's
Like
back.
less. Yeah. That
Yep.
makes sense. Yeah. I think a lot of people are realizing that more somatic and body um, treatments are more effective for long term and stuff.
Yeah.
So
So, so yeah, I've been off of it for a couple months.
good.
And yeah, like I'm I'm getting feeling back, and like there would be times like when I was on it, like
Hmm.
I'd go years without crying.
Yeah. See, that's not fun
Yeah,
or
like
helpful.
exactly. And like
Yeah.
even like Devin's funeral and stuff, like I mean, I cried a little bit, but like it was it was so like compared to what I knew I should have been like feeling and expressing,
Or even
it
that
was
what you
nothing.
wanted to feel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And
Okay.
like, you know, even though like even when I am like feeling things fully,
Hmm.
like I'm pretty good. I'm pretty great in a crisis.
Yeah, you
Like,
are.
but like I just realized that like I just everything was just so far away feeling. I was so
Yeah. Yeah,
like
that numb is not a good feeling.
exactly. And I was just like, this isn't right. And like, sometimes some shows I might have like shed some tears a little bit, but like
Yeah.
um just like recently I started like really actually getting feeling back, and like I've been watching One Tree Hill, and like I've been crying like a baby, and it's like been so great because like I'm like, hey, I'm a person.
Yeah, it feels better, doesn't it? Just like you were saying, like that feeling of like I won't even feel this if I die kind of thing.
Yes,
And it feels
exactly.
icky. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like numb for a short time is great when you've been feeling so bad for so long, but
Hmm.
numb for years is hell.
It's kind of scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you look like you're feeling well. I mean, you look beautiful. You look really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's good to see you smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I struggle still, but there's it's nice to like have a range of emotions and not just like
Yes.
numbness and
That's right.
just blunt.
Yeah, because if you can't feel the, if you can't feel the bad, then you can't feel the good either. So,
Exactly.
mhm.
And when you're feeling very, very bad, like numbness, that sounds amazing. And it is amazing for a short time. But see, that's the problem is when people are put on antidepressants, it's never a short time.
And it doesn't feel good after a while.
No.
You just feel, you don't feel like a human. Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
And
well, I
that,
got a 4:30, so oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
oh, I was just gonna say, and that is just scary.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, let's talk soon and catch up some more. And I'd love to meet you, or I can come down and see you, or down over whatever we are relative.
Yeah,
Probably
definitely.
west. Yeah, you're west of me. So
Sounds good.
yeah. Okay, bye, hon. Thank you so much.
Bye, love you.
Bye bye. Love you too, hon.